I do believe I have figured out what my problem was. Jazzy. I believe I figured out what my problem was recording audio, and I think my external Apple CarPlay is the problem. Okay, I think I figured out what was going on with my audio. I had recorded one section here, and again the audio was not working. So I said, I gotta figure this out. So I pulled over, and I thought it was because I had my phone plugged into the power. And so I had it unplugged this time, still no audio. Well, then it dawned on me that maybe it is the Bluetooth that is running my GPS unit. Hello everyone, and Happy New Year. I'm a little bit late with my New Year's wishes, so I hope everything is going well for everyone. I decided today that I was going to take another trip to Erie so that I could start my US19 road trip. This is my third attempt. My first two attempts were obviously not successful. The first attempt was the week before Christmas. Jazzy and I had to go to Erie so that I could deliver a package UPS. And by the time I got to where US19 starts in Erie, it was raining and so foggy that I decided to scrap that idea. My second attempt was New Year's Eve. It was a beautiful day in Pennsylvania, and we were going to be getting some really bad storms. And I decided I would try it then, and I recorded a lot of video. However, on playback, I had no audio. And there was so much video that I just could not fathom trying to do a voiceover on all that, so I scrapped that, except for one portion when I was in Waterford, PA. I did get out and I filmed at the George Washington Memorial Park. So that will be included in this video somewhere along the way, and you will see a difference in the weather. So I did start this again as my third attempt today, and this is January 10th. And I did record a short video, and I tried to play it back again, no audio. So I figured I've got to figure this out. So I got to Edinburgh, and I pulled off into Walmart, and I played around with it, and I think I figured out what the problem is. I thought it was because I had my phone plugged into a power source. What it turned out to be was my external Apple CarPlay unit. So now that I have that unplugged, I'm pretty sure that I will be successful on this trip, and that I hopefully will not have to scrap any of this. I'm just getting back onto 79 so that I can make my way to Erie and get started. And as a little short synopsis here, US19 runs 1,438 miles from Erie, Pennsylvania to Memphis, Florida. And it runs through 7 states. So I am hoping that I can at least get video here and there at the interesting points. I won't bore you, excuse me. I will not bore you with all 1,438 miles. I am not going to start my actual trip south for another week and a half or so. But I'm not going to get up that morning and head 40 miles north to Erie so I can turn around and start my road trip then. So I am doing this in parts and pieces. And hopefully this will be part 1. Part 1 in Pennsylvania. So I will be back with you shortly. Okay, coming up Road is the beginning, and I'm going to call this the official beginning of my US19 road trip. I hope you enjoy your ride along with me on this journey. Like I said, I'm not going to get up the morning I head south, drive 40 miles north to begin my trip, so this is it. This is where our 4 lanes of city driving begins. To the right, that was Bolitnikoff Field, beside the UPMC Medical Building. Fred Bolitnikoff was an NFL player, born and raised in Erie, PA. I believe he played with the LA Rams. I don't know if you can see very well up ahead. With lots of traffic and 3 and 4 lane traffic. Driven through this town so many times, this kind of traffic doesn't bother me. At least not in this town. If I were dealing with this in another town, I would probably be just a little bit stressed out, but really it's not bad here. The bridge you see ahead is I-90. For those of you who like to travel and find nice overnight parking spots, there is a Cracker Barrel up here. This point, will soon be dropping down to a 2-lane highway, so I will have to move over to make sure that I can stay on 19. District of Erie. Wow, that's one of the lowest prices on gas I've seen in Pennsylvania. $3.18 a gallon. So from here on, it is a 2-lane highway. WQLN happens to be our local PBS station. You see our Jet 24 and Fox 66 News in the Animal Clinic. To the right, you will see the Subaru dealership. And the reason I point that out is because my daily driver is my Subaru Outback, and this, I had talked about the Miracle Mile that used to be on the partway down Peach Street in the other direction. It is slowly migrating out to this area. We have Honda dealership, Subaru, Erie Off-Road Express offers Kias as well as Hondas. I believe Subaru also offers Volkswagens. I couldn't say for sure. And here is our Toyota dealership. And a little further down the road is the Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram. About 6 miles south of Erie, we are approaching Waterford, PA. Waterford is a very quaint little town with a lot of history. One of the things you'll notice as we drive through the downtown portion is that is the requirement here that to park, you have to back into your parking spot. They're not parallel parking, but you must back in. And it's the only town that I have ever found where that is required. In this town is where I filmed the George Washington Monument. I will point that out as we go by. But this is the home of Fort LaBeouf. Fort LaBeouf was one of 3 major forts built prior to the Revolution that connected Pittsburgh and Erie. Fort Duquesne was another major one. Is that the one that became Fort Pitt? I can't remember. I will have to look at my history again. I'm sure I have that in my video where I recorded George Washington and the monument in that park. Very busy, very quaint little town. In July they have a nice festival where they celebrate their heritage. And this is the section that I wanted to point out where you back into your parking space. A little strange, but that's how they do it here. And coming up on the left beyond this Eagle Hotel is the George Washington Memorial Park. I pulled over for a few minutes so I could take a walk down here to the Trail of History, Fort LaBeouf, Washington's Trail. This is a little park in Waterford. So here we have the statue of George Washington in his British uniform. This was prior to the Revolutionary War. The sign here states, George Washington in 1753 came here with notice from the governor of Virginia to the French that they were trespassing on British soil. The statue shows Washington carrying out his first public mission. So this is the site of Fort LaBeouf, one of the three main forts along the George Washington Trail, which it was not known as at the time. Near this site stood successive military posts that secured a vital point on the main road between Pittsburgh and Lake Erie. French Fort LaBeouf, built 1753, was abandoned in 1759. British Fort LaBeouf, built 1760, was destroyed by Native Americans in 1763. In 1794, Pennsylvania and federal soldiers built a fort, succeeded in 1797 by a U.S. Army blockhouse. After Waterford was founded, the post was maintained to protect settlers on the frontier. This is the statue of George Washington wearing his British uniform prior to the Revolutionary War. Across the road from here stands the Fort LaBeouf Museum. I don't believe it is open today, so I might have to come back here another day to go in and check it out. There is a little lake here. This intersection coming up is one of the first roundabouts we had in this area. A lot of people don't like these roundabouts. I think they're pretty neat when it comes to the flow of traffic. But this particular one, they found out they had built too small because our state highway trucks cannot keep this section cleared. They have to hire a private contractor with a regular pickup truck and a plow to keep this cleared.